Now, I wanted to have some fun because on these things I like to have fun. So I kind of like to go around the zodiac and talk about what's going on around the zodiac real quick for everyone and how they're kind of coming into this pre-programming stage. You guys want that? So let's start with Aries first because they are the first ones, those lucky bastards. Their pre-programming in my head is that they really, for some reason, have belief systems that know they're the shit and know that they can make the biggest things happen, but there's something inside that keeps telling them that at the last minute when they're about to get the big trophy that they really want, something's going to fucking happen that's going to take that trophy away. And that's something that Aries are going to have to remove. Because for them, they're ready. They know it. They look in the mirror every day. They talk to everyone. They're ready. They go around. Yeah. I can do it. I got it. I'm the shit. You know it. All right. But then when it comes down to it, they're like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's going to be taken away from me right now. And I think a lot of it has to do with them not concerning themselves about so much about what other people think about them. I think that's the biggest misconception right now for Aries is that people are talking about them and how they're doing it. I'm sorry to say, they're not talking about you. They're only talking about you when you're doing fucking awesome shit. They're not talking about you when you're not doing awesome shit. So why don't you just go do the awesome shit and then they'll talk about you, you know? We're all not sitting at home thinking about Aries and what they're doing. You know, like, oh my gosh, like, you know that one? Yeah. You know that one, Aries? Yeah. It's Game 7 of the World Series. Yeah, let's just turn it off. Let's talk about that, Aries. No, sorry, it didn't happen. So there's too much worry, I think, for Aries of worrying what everybody thinks about them, if they're a failure or a success or how they are in that way, when it's all about fucking you just living in your life and being happy and guess what? Doing what you do best. And you know that when you get there to the mark, you master it and you'll make it there. And this pre-programming needs to be there because, in all honesty, you're ready to go to the greatest marks of your life. It's just your own belief systems and worrying about what everybody's thinking. That really is what is holding Aries back so much, which is so ironic because Aries is all about pushing forward, but it really is their own selves right now that is the consequence of what is holding them back. Which is kind of ironic because usually it's the opposite. Usually it's other people who get in their way or, you know, all these other things. But really it's for the first time, I think, in their whole life that they're really going, holy shit, this really is my own belief system and worried about how people will think about how I do it. And that has to end, you know. So Aries are in a good space, I think, but they're also challenged to realize, like, they're going for some of the biggest things in the whole world, and the only way to get those things is having the most solid belief in oneself. And more importantly, knowing how to choose the kind of people you're going to go there with. Because there's a little bit of that, you know, like taking people on or helping people out so much when maybe you shouldn't be helping them out and you should be focusing on yourself. You're a damn Aries, for God's sake. It's okay to use your ego. Like Aries try and build egos now off of doing good things for others, which is a good thing. But if you build it all off that, you know, you're kind of left with nothing. So Tauruses. I think Tauruses have had it one of the roughest out of all the zodiac signs, I'll be honest with you. So for all those in the audience and all those on camera right there, I do feel for you. The cow did tip, I know. Murr! So the pre-programming is, I will not tip again. I will not fall over and not be able to get up. That's been the whole fear of Tauruses, Taurus risings, and Taurus moons. And I should have said that about the Aries, about the pre-programming of the belief systems and worrying about what other people say and kind of getting in between yourself. But with Taurus, it really is this fear, like, I can get stuck and I don't know how to get out. And I can get stuck in patterns that just keep holding me back so much to where I'm not getting out. And I love the analogy of the cow tipping over because you just don't see cows just get up and go, okay, I'm up. All right, let's get up. No, it takes an army of people like, Get all the ranchers out. We got old Betsy who fell down again. You got the zapper? You know, has he been milked too much or what's going on with her, you know? So, and I think there's a vulnerability for Tauruses and Taurus risings and moons as they're all like, they've fallen down, and there's this whole like, God, I don't really want everyone to come over and help me up. I can do it myself. And then they realize they can't, right? Like they can't. They need other people to help them. So there's been this really weird social aspects where the people that are there to help them, they don't want. But the people that they want in their lives are the people that keep pushing them down. So then there becomes this trust factor with people. So for Tauruses, it's about, okay, these are the best people for you in your life. Let them help you up, and you're back to mooing and whatever you do. You know what I mean? Buying nice cars, doing whatever, eating steaks, doing whatever you want to do, you know? That's the thing for Tauruses that they're having to pre-program is, I need to see that there's a window always with the right people in front of me, and there's a window with the wrong people that are just going to keep kicking me down and not actually pulling me up. And my own trust issues with those people, like, that are going to be good for me, have to go away because I need them to pick me up. And then there's this other notion of when you sit too long, Taurus, and wait for it to be picked up, guess what happens? You don't get anything done. And then what happens? Your schedule sucks. Your sleep patterns are off. You don't know how to do things day to day on a basis. You don't have a day-to-day life. And that's part of the pre-programming coming into the next 5 years that you got to clean up fast. Because you don't want to come into this one and be on the floor with no day-to-day life, with your sleep schedules up, down, left, right, all the way here, with the wrong people pushing you down. You got a cult with blood all over you going, ah, you know, and these are your best friends? Okay. They really just wanted that prime rib off you. Geminis. Well, Geminis, I think, they're not in the worst place, but you got to remember that what's going on for them is they're at a place to where they have to figure out what to do, right? There's so much for them right now. It's about what to do, and there's so much love inside of them, but it's like, I don't know where to direct all the love. Oh, my God. So how do you beam your energy into a place and stick to it and commit to it and don't stop? Because it kind of reminds me of a little like wind-up toy that just and it kind of goes out of control, right? It needs a track. And so for Geminis, it really is a great time for them because I think they've realized there's so much love inside. There's so many good things inside, but there's not enough direction. There's not enough, I'm going to stick to this plan and do it every day. I'm going to stick to this goal for the next 5 years and continue to do it. There's too much of this, oh, yeah, oh, whatever, I'm having fun, you know, which is great. But at the end of the day, you know, channeling that fun and energy into 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 instead of 48 allows you to manifest things that you keep wanting. Because that's the thing is, how many trophies are on the wall for the Geminis? You know, it's like there's unfortunately a really good feeling when you have trophies, when you have accomplishments that you can look back on and go, I did that, and that was fucking amazing. And when people start talking about it, there's an even better feeling that goes beyond that. I mean, people talk about their Oscars fucking all day, you know what I mean? Hey, did you know I got an Oscar, you know? But, you know, and it gives you confidence, and it gives you that boost. And that's what's missing from Gemini's life is, in order to get the confidence, you have to complete the task to get the trophy, to get the acknowledgement, and then you get then you get the confidence. Not, I'm just going to somehow build confidence. Somehow, one day it'll show up, and then I'll have it. That isn't going to happen. But the good news for them, the pre-programming really is about just doing it. I like the whole Nike slogan, just do it, and just kind of stick to it. The Cancers, they had it really rough, but I think they're coming out of a lot of rough patches. I think their programming for them is like, am I doing the right thing in my life? You know, and am I in the right place? I think that's been a lot of what's been going on with Cancer. Like, am I in the right place? Am I doing what I really want in my life? Is this the life I really enjoy and I really like? Or am I really just comfortable here and that's why I'm here? There's a big thing for Cancers about programming that comfort is wherever is the best place for you instead of I'm comfortable, so I'll just stay here. So Cancers are at a place where they need to not be afraid to move on to better waters. You know, they are ruled by the sea. They are little crabs. Eventually, the beach turns to shit, you know, and eventually you got to get up your little like crab legs and walk over to the better part of the sand, you know. I mean, it happens to me on the beach. Sometimes I'm sitting on the beach getting a hot, you know, getting a nice tan, and then, oh gosh, now the waves are coming up, and now there's this lifeguard right over here, and now this really loud person sat next to me. Okay, it's time to get up. It's time to move. Let's go. And I think that that's been the problem for Cancers is like, well, I have this here, and I'm in this relationship here, and I've got this here, and, well, I mean, I know it's shitty, but it's comfortable. No. No. Trust me. Move on to the next space. You'll be much happier in your life. And really, it's that simple. But for Cancers, it's the most difficult thing in their life, which is to change or move energies. To them, you know, like moving their hair dryer is like fucking, you moved it to the top socket? Like, yeah, I did. Sorry. It was in the way, you know. Like for Cancers, that's a big deal because that was in their comfort zone, you know. And also the fear of things changing so much in their foundation, like that they think that they'll fall through the cracks. Well, at the end of the day, you're not going to fall through the cracks because you are about to fall through the cracks wherever you're at right now. So I'd start moving towards where you got to go because eventually the water is going to come all the way up and start hitting you, and now your towel's wet, and now you feel uncomfortable, and there's nothing worse than a Cancer being uncomfortable in the world, right? And I love that analogy of being uncomfortable in an uncomfortable place. Oh, that's like the worst thing. It's like all you have to do to get comfortable again is move to a comfortable place. So, and really Cancers are really supported for this, but it's about expansion. It's about moving forward. It's about doing more of what's going to be fun anyway. So I don't know why they're so freaked out to just do it and just move on. So really, I think there is a lot of relationship stuff for Cancers. And of course, on tomorrow's, we'll go through the sun signs and how the next 5 years will affect them. But I'm trying to help with the pre-programming part right now. With the Leos, it's pretty clear, you know, Leos are at a place where they can have everything they've ever wanted in their life, but it's going to require that you can't play hooky all the time. You know? Like, for some reason, you know, every king and queen thinks, like, they can have the castle and get everybody to do everything and then not have to worry about it. Fuck it. Let's go. And then they come back to the castle and, holy shit, you guys moved this and you guys painted my walls green? What the fuck's going on here? Right? So Leo's got to stay in the game, and it's been hard for Leos because I think it feels like there's no breaks for Leos, you know? Like they're constantly in, like the universe wants them being Leos for some reason. It wants the king to be in the castle or the queen in the castle, not on ravish vacations and places where they want to be. There's a grind for Leos, but the grind could give you the greatest life ever, and there's nothing better than a king or queen in their kingdom ruling the kingdom than away from it. And for some reason, all Leos spent so many years away from their kingdoms that when they finally have come back and started to build their kingdom, it's like they want to go back and just escape it all and say, fuck it, I'm over it. But the whole truth is there is nothing more powerful than a king or queen ruling a castle in it. And so I think that's like the big thing for Leos is it's it can feel like you're stuck in constant, never-ending things to do, and there are no breaks. You always got something next, you're doing this, and right when you want to do something, it's almost like enjoyment has kind of been thrown out the window as far as like, all right, I've got a whole time to do nothing. That's just not the story, unfortunately. So, you know, it's a time for Leos to get comfortable in ruling their lives and not relying on everybody to do it for them. Like, even though they want to have it that way, they have to continue to do that and learn to communicate that better. Because I think Leos have a problem communicating that correctly and communicating in general. They're very out of balance, right? Leos, like 1 minute, it's like, hi, how you doing? The next minute, it's like, what the fuck? You know? So, you know, and it's especially right when things don't go perfect anymore in their eyes, right? And Leos, I think, are realizing that it's all not perfect. So, you know, and you can't just be out with lavish vacations anymore. Like, you already spent most of the last 20 years vacationing anyway. So for Leos, I don't know why they're tripping out, because like you lived most of your life vacationing. So the vacation is what you make it in the castle now. So for Virgos, oh yeah, Virgos. Oh. I do love my Virgos, though. Do we have people in the room? Oh, all right. So any of those Virgos out there, they're probably looking at me like, holy shit. No, actually, I think Virgos are actually in an amazing place. But the big thing for Virgos and what they're shifting is it can be so much more fun than ever. It's like, I think Virgos love fun and they're obsessed with it and they want it really bad. But it's like they don't believe it's possible every day. And I think that's the biggest shift happening for Virgos, is realizing, I can actually make my life fucking awesome every day. Instead of it being like, no, I've allocated this exact moment at this exact time and it's going to be great. And then when they actually get there, it's not. Because, of course, maybe the universe is doing something crazy. There's something bad happens. The weather's bad that day or something. So it's like these perfect moments that they set everything up to. It's going to be grand. It's going to be great. They get there and it's not. And well, guess what happens? That puts a Virgo in a really cranky mood and it puts them really upset. And then it lowers their self-worth of the world, which they don't realize is affecting them. So they actually start to go like, oh, yeah, it's not that great. It's not that good. I'm not that good. I can't make that happen. It can't be that good. That's what I hear from a lot of Virgos. It can't be that good. The second you pre-program that coming into this one, guess what? It really can't be that good. I think their great lesson coming up here is that it can be the greatest ever every day. That they are the only ones in the zodiac right now that truly get the hall pass for having fucking the lavish vacation all the fucking time and having the grandest life. And I don't get why they're choosing the minimalist, but they are the minimalist. But I think the universe is showing them that you can have more and take it and believe it and watch it happen, because you can have whatever you want in your life. And I think that there's a lot of self-doubt inside of Virgos. Like, I don't think I can make it happen. I don't think I can have that. And that's something that's turning for them. And the whole mysticism of a relationship being that greatest thing that they've ever had in their life, or the delusion that the relationship they're in is the greatest thing, when really it's the ugliest thing, is the biggest battle that they go through right now, which is really the mirroring of their shitty or great parts of themselves. That's going down at the highest degree right now in their life, and they don't even realize it. That's all I'll say about them. I love her, but it's hard. My mom's a Virgo, my brother's a Virgo, so, you know, it's like, man, they're right next to me, you know? And it's hard because I'm a Leo too, you know. It's a Leo with Virgo fam. That's a hard one. It's like, no, trust me, it can be fucking great. I'm in my Corvette, like, bah, let's go. And they're like looking at me like, I don't know. You're gonna drive that thing every day? Yeah, well, you can drive that every day, you know. So anyway, Libras. If you guys thought the Virgos were bad, oh God. I love my Libras. I just think that, you know, second sign to have it the hardest, Libras. It's just been so not balanced. You know, it's just been, you know, like that's a hard one. But I think for them, it's realizing that the people that they've chosen in their life, because they are Libras and they are people that deal with relationships, is the reason why everything goes the way it is. It all depends on who you choose in your life. So for Libras, it's been this nonstop reflection of themselves through all these crazy fucking people. Like, honestly, the relationships and the people that Libras go through, that they meet, that they see in their life is like, whoa. Like if you were just to funnel the people that come through a Libra, you would literally be in a loony bin, you know? But the other part of it is they also know the coolest people too, you know? So, but you never know who you're going to get with a Libra. Like that's the whole thing, is they're the most unpredictable sign right now, I feel. Like because it can look like it's going so good for them for 2 days, and then fucking 3 days later, it is just hell. And it's like, whoa! You cool? And it's usually because of a relationship trigger. Like, well, this guy, they cheated on me, and they did this, and then he called me and told me this, so I freaking just did it. It was like, what did you do? I thought it was all going good. I thought it was all great. I thought you called me 2 days ago and said there's no way that nothing bad could happen. And then it all just went boom. And I think for them, it's like, come on, Libra. Like, it really is knowing how to maintain, right? I know it sounds so cliche. I mean, because for them, it's like they have been bombarded. They've been bombarded. They're one of the signs. Actually, the farther now we go down the list, those are the signs that have had it the hardest. The Libras, the Scorpios, the Capricorns, and the Aquarians, is because guess what? These were all the big planets are all at. So, you know, the first 6 are pretty easy. Thank you. Thank God I was born a Leo, you know. I got through that one. But those last 6, oh, God, I got to be honest with you, man. You guys signed up for some intense shit. And Libras are the balance being between those 6, right? So they're kind of like, unfortunately, seeing the top 6 in their great life and hanging out with those 6, being like, oh, yeah, it's all good. And then they hang out with those other 6 and see the shit going down. It's like, fuck, I'm fucked. So they're living the understanding of the duality of the life we're seeing in our society and our world right now, how some people have it really good and some people have it really bad. And for some reason, they live that moment to moment every day, and I think they need to pre-program that it's not so unbalanced and so crazy, and that it's more peaceful and more harmonious, especially when they start with themselves, and that they don't pick people that bring them that unhappiness, and learn where to set boundaries, especially with, like, this isn't worth it in my life. This isn't going to be good for me. And more importantly, I think a lot of it, out of all of it, has to deal with, like, not falling in love with things that are bad for them. Because unfortunately, love is a beautiful thing, but it also can be the greatest destroyer of all times. You can love some of the worst things in the world, right? My love for cigarettes was bad. In the shower, you know, in bed. When it got to where it was like I was in bed in the morning, you know, and then I'd walk to my bathroom and I'd had an ashtray on the top of my shower, you know, and I'm in the shower, right? Some things you can love don't go too hot, right? For Libras, they love some of the most sadistic, twisted shit. I'm just saying. And it's about not falling in love with that shit anymore. And getting advice from people and getting help from people and being like, listen, dude, or, girl, I don't think that's something to love. There was a time in my life that I wanted to tattoo Marlboro on the back of my back. And if I would have done that and been the Leo King, I don't know. People would have been like, who the fuck? I already rub elbows and people off the wrong way. Imagine now with that tattoo, people would have just been like, okay, I'm definitely not signing up for this guy's app. Same thing with Libras. Are we really going to sign up for that with you if you're going to be into that? Is the big question coming into the next 5 years. For Scorpio, yeah, they've been through that hell and back too. But for Scorpios, I think it's a little different than the Libra story because at least, Scorpio will ride the edges easier. Libras, when it gets to the edges, they freak out. Oh my God! When at least Scorpios get there, they go, look at that's fucking badass view. Like, it could be hell in a handbasket, the world's ending, and it's kind of like, well, I don't know what to do, but I got it somehow. Because they're not afraid of the edges. They like the edges. They like to see the edge of life. If they're stuck in the middle of life and not seeing the edge, there's a problem. So I think for them, it's just realizing how far down the rabbit hole do they want to go in their life, especially when it comes to, like, finding some sort of stability in their life. Like, that's been the thing for Scorpios is where is home? And is that home connected with who I really want to be? Is that really what I want to be? Because where you plant yourself, like here's a good example. Like if I lived in Cairo, Egypt, I would want to be an archaeologist. That's what I'd want to be. But, if I lived in the ghetto, I'd probably want to be a fucking drug dealer or something. I don't know. I'm just being real. Right? Just because I think I'd be a pimp drug dealer in the ghetto. Personally. But for Scorpios, there's this irony of where you live is who you become. And what you will do. With Jupiter in their sign especially, and I don't know if you guys noticed, I didn't mention one planet up until then. Did you guys notice that or no? Right? But I'm saying that for them because Jupiter's in their sign for the next year. So, holy shit. You can go so far to the edge, it's insane. But it's all going to be based upon who you identify as, which for them is all about what they pick to be and where they live. And that edge can be whatever it is that they want to be. But unfortunately for them, it's picking the right place. Now, what is that right place? They pick crazy places. Scorpions don't go to the Marriott 5-star, They go to the Roach Motel. That's a joke. Because Aquarius is their fourth house, right? So they have the weird house. They always have the weird place that they're at. They're cool living on edge, kind of in a weird place. Like they're like tree houses, like, oh yeah, I'll live in a tree house. Until that gets crazy and old and weird. But for them, it's a moment of, are you going to finally pick who you really want to be? Because there's a lot of, I think, identity crisis going on for Scorpions of like who to be, and that reflects on where you live and what you do. For the Sages, well, they're... I think they're on a radical journey that nobody can see. That's the best way I can describe it. So nobody gets it, but they see it, so they're on it, right? And so they could feel a little bit like that's, oh man, like I'm screwed because nobody gets it. But I think that they have to believe, they're the ultimate ones that have to show us to believe in themselves. But more importantly, owning their value of self is the biggest thing that they're going to have to deal with, and owning that journey that nobody else sees and continuing to just fucking own it. And unfortunately for them, they have a lot of baggage that they have to get rid of that they still haven't got rid of yet. That's been the hardest part about Sagittarius. This is like, you really still have that? I thought it was over. Didn't we talk about this 5 years ago? And it's still here. Same story. Same thing going on. You still haven't done it yet? We all been living our lives. I thought that you were going to do it finally. You didn't do it yet? You're going to do it finally? That's the number one question for Sagittarius is, are you going to cut the cord to the shit you hate and don't want? That's the thing blocking you from the journey, and you're wondering why we're all standing here not believing you're going anywhere? It's because Sagittarius have to finally... And for them, it deals with love, romance, and it deals with things that they once loved but don't love anymore, but want to keep it in the trunk still. Once in a while, go back, open the trunk. That's the thing, is junk in the trunk. I mean, how long? And then, what is that thing that's in there? It's secret. We all don't know. Scorpio in their 12th, right? It's always like, They like have this weird fetish with their toxic shit, right? It's like kind of like, wiping your hand with your butt and going, like Sages kind of have that with something that they haven't let go of for a long time. It's like, okay, how many more times are you going to wipe that butt and sniff it again, man? You got black fingernails because of it, man. I thought you went to the pedicure already or manicure, man. No. So they're at a great place. Their journey's ready to go, but they don't get while every time that the rocket launches, there's a huge cable on it. Everybody at NASA's looking at like, holy shit, is this thing going to blow up the Earth? It's because that cord needs to be cut to go. And that's, unfortunately for them, their deepest fear is cutting cords. Because Sages are the positive ones. Of course their 12th house is of Scorpio. The greatest fear for a Sagittarius is letting go of things that they've connected to. Because they're the positive ones, right? So, good luck to them. Habits run really hard. Habits run really hard. I've had to get rid of a lot of habits in my life. A lot of habits. Bad ones. But, letting go of those habits are the best things I ever did in my life. And that's the number one thing for Sag. It's things that you don't even have anymore, or you don't even use anymore, or you don't even like anymore, or you don't even really like sniffing your butt and smelling it anymore. Because it's the same smell. Isn't there a new smell out there somewhere? Here's my phone. It was in my pocket. Smell this. Capricorns, wow, come on, let's be real. If you know your astrology, this next 5 years is probably going to be one of the biggest for them out of all the zodiac signs. So every Capricorn is, Mel Gibson at the moment. Like, what the fuck happened to him and what's about to happen to him? Tiger Woods, what the fuck happened to him and what is going to happen to him? I can name a million Capricorns that we all watched and then, what the fuck happened? They are the key to the next 5 years of our lives. So at the top of your phone and on your Facebook, your see first, put every Capricorn. Just so you can watch their life and go, that's how the world's going to go. Because the evolution and the change that is happening with them and them is bringing out the true essence of who they really are as a soul. They are souls that have so much to offer and so much to give and have so much things that they want to share, especially with the world. And it has never come out at full maximum yet, and this is their moment to let that out. But it's them feeling like, I don't know if people will really like it if I push it off that hard, you know? And I think they have to believe that it's okay to push it out that hard, to push that true essence of who they are and just come out with it fully and watch the world support it, you know? I think that a lot of Capricorns have battled this kind of part of themselves that they were unsure of if they're allowed to be that part of themselves too, right? Because it's almost like, you know, the Capricorns always show up in a nicely, you know, done shirt and everything's good and everything's, you know, I know everything's good, don't worry about it. But really it's like, man, chaos and fucking craziness, but that you would never know until finally, you know, you see Tiger Woods with sunglasses on in a fucking car and you're like, oh, that's really what's going on. Okay. It's like you're not dealing with that part of yourself you want to let out. And we all don't know what that person is. There's parts of, you know, the deepest parts of one's soul is easier for some to bring out than others. For me, it's really easy. I'll fucking put my hand on my pants and smell my butt in front of stage. I don't give a fuck and talk about it. For a Capricorn, no, you know, I don't know. There's some parts of themselves that they're afraid to really just let out. And this is their huge kind of, the zit's about to pop. You know, it's the best way I could describe it. Because they're ready to free themselves. A little free willy action. Like, free willy, let's go! And I think Capricorns at the same token, and more importantly, have extreme edge that they want to, passions that they just want to feel. And I think that, you know, this is their time to finally let it all out. And that's what it's going to be. So it's going to be interesting to watch them, put them at the top of your phones, because they're going to be the ones that help you kind of see that the world is represented by them right now coming up. And the world is at the same time a zit point, you know? The world wants to express itself in a certain way. And you know what? We all don't know exactly what that is going to look like yet. It's hidden, but it will pop itself out. And Capricorns, you got to let it out. Sorry, you just can't hold it in no more. Just let it out fully to your greatest extent and conquer all that you've wanted to conquer, because you live once and fuck it. Why not? There's no reason not to do it. So I'm extremely hopeful for Capricorns because they are third place for being the hardest ones that have gone through the hardest. I think Sages are fourth, but I think they take over Sag because Sag kind of doesn't give a fuck, you know? Sag can kind of wipe things off, like, oh, fuck it, whatever. It got all screwed up, whatever. Capricorn doesn't feel that way. Capricorn's like, oh, man, that got fucked up. Oh, shit. You know? So Capricorns are ready to get off that list, but it's going to take some time. And it really is just dealing with, like, are you doing and being all that you've really wanted to be? Sure, it's been... And I want to go deep on this because for Capricorns, it's like, well, it's this idea of what I've always wanted to be. But it's like, have you really gone down and really said, no, it's that and that on top of it and maybe even that on top? Like, you're allowed to build the sundae as high as you want to go. Instead of, like, continuing to say, no, it's cool, I'm chocolate and vanilla. It's cool. It's like, no. Let that sundae fly. Aquarians, well, I don't know. When they come back to Earth, let me know. Do we have any Aquarians here? No. Here's the things about Aquarius. The reason why I said that, and there might be some tomorrow, but I would be very, you know, the ones that do what's really weird. This is the weirdest thing about Aquarius right now. They're either ultra spiritual or the other way completely. Like, no, I don't even know what you're talking about. You know? So it's kind of like, okay. And spirituality is the deepest thing for them. All the Sages are about to go through their blessings. And they're so afraid. I think the most terrifying thing for an Aquarius would be a nun, a rabbi, a priest, or anything that has to do with a religion or spiritual ceremony. Like when you start getting the drums out and some of the sage, you watch the Aquarian's face go. They don't even say they're leaving either. It's just. And honestly, that has to deal with spirituality. They're so afraid of spirituality, it terrifies the shit out of them. It even terrifies them more that they realize that they have such amazing souls that God's here to use them for that greatness, and they're so afraid of actually doing that greatness. They would rather sit back and have it be normal, which is so funny because they hate normal, right? But what's so funny to them is the most extreme thing of abnormal is spirituality. And they're afraid to walk down that door. They'd rather be crazy in normality, but really, it's still normality. So their biggest lesson is to realize that the doorway that opens up to all the crazy, exciting, wild, UFO, gnarly, dimensional, geometrical, crazy, mind-bending, LSD twisting understandings are in those rooms where the people are lighting sage and talking about numerology. Which that's where they're going to find everything they were looking for. They're extremely afraid of this place because for them, they have to calculate if this is going to, if spirituality is something that will really take them where they are going to go in their life, if it's really worth even having in their life. They have a lot of things that they have to go through on realizing that they make it to the top when they are in the spiritual world. They always stay low at the bottom when they're not. So when they're not in the spiritual world, they never really get to where they ever want to go. They stay consistent in the same place. So think about every Aquarian that you know. They are stuck in normality. And they want anything but that. And it's in the most terrifying place ever. They might even find it in a church. Who knows? I don't know. But they are in an identity crisis, though, because, and I'll throw some astrology in. They have South Node in their sign, the eclipse is in their sign. And they're stuck in, focusing on relationships. And I think the relationships are the ones that are going to help them see the other sides and walk them into those rooms. That they have all these powerful relationships coming into their lives to walk them into those rooms. But, it's like dragging a cat into a bath, Like, you're pulling me in here? What? Oh, God. Just trust mommy. The water's fine. That's the best way you can describe Aquarian now is the cat inside of a freaking water. And we'll end with my favorite Pisces because it's the end, thank God. Well, I think for Pisces, they're actually extremely happy because I think they really finally have figured out what to do. How to do it, though, and who to do it with is a little bit of the question. I think that it's a big time for them because they want more admiration for themselves than ever. They want to reach things and do things that make them feel like they have a reason to be here and it's fulfilling them. And they want more. They're done with mediocrity, right? But they're at a place to where it's time for them to realize that, who the groups you associate with, like the people you associate with, really do open the right doors, right? Like when I was a raver, I was always into the main room trance. But the second that, my buddy pulled thank God he was my best friend. Oh my God. Because if I was rolling balls on a bunch of ecstasy, and I was like, okay, going into the main room, and I know I love dance music and DJing, and he's like, where are you going? And he goes, come here, and he pulled my collar, and I got really upset, which is hard to do on ecstasy, because you're like loving the world, right? And he pull, and I'm like, what, man? I have my hat backwards. This is me at 20, like no shirt on. Like, I want the chicks to check me out. I got my glow sticks. Like, I'm going into the main room, all the go-go dancers, all that stuff. And he's like, come in this room. The house music's in here. I'm like, what? That room's got like 1,000 people in it. There's 30,000 people in there. He goes, just trust me. I was like, okay. He pulled me into that room, and I danced more than I've ever danced in my life. And thank you, God, for him, because he changed my life. Pisces are going through that same thing. Who you hang with, are they pulling you into the right rooms? Or are they pulling you into the rooms and you get there and you go, no, not really. That's not really where I want to go. So for Pisces, it's really about where you want to go is going to be on whose ship you're with. And believe it or not, the people's ship that you are on with will take you to the right port, or they'll take you to the wrong port. Imagine being on a fucking garbage, ship to Hong Kong and then being dropped off there on the garbage dumps. What? It's like trying to see through, are these the right people for me or not? That's a big one, because they will take you to, I hate to use this word, but the Messiah, the Mecca. And this is a great time for Pisces because everything's aligned for them to have it all go right. The only thing that'll dump and go wrong is who they hang with or who they associate with. I have an unnamed Pisces that this person literally will bounce from like the crazy, like we're going to do this kind of thing, or over here to this kind of thing. And it's like this person doesn't know which group to go with. And if you scatter around yourself to so many groups and you don't pick one, well, you're on so many areas you don't get to find what you're looking for. Pisces with Neptune in their sign, it's extremely hard to find yourself. So that's why you need other people to help narrow down the field for you. But picking and sticking to a group and sticking to a repetitive cycle of the right people is the best thing for a Pisces, because once they get into that cookie jar, into that cookie jar, into that one, it becomes too confusing. And of course, being a Pisces is already confusing as hell. So it's about letting go of those emotions and those things that deal with issues of who are you with? And sometimes, you have to actually search for the right people. You just can't be comfortable and be like, no, I'm not going to go any deeper. These are the only people I know. You have to actually take that risk and go, oh, I'm going to go and I know, it's like personally in my life, like in order to get the app, like trust me, I just didn't sit in my house and just build an app. I'm telling you, there's never been an app in the world that just started. Maybe it might start there, but eventually you're going to have to go to some major corporation and be partners with them to build a huge app on an app store. It's just not done that way. And I use this example because you have to take a risk and find the people that are going to open the door to get you to where you want to go. And that's really where Pisces are at, which is not that hard, but for them it seems to be a little hard. It's not hard, though, when they know in their heart it's the best windows and the best people there. And once they get there, it's the best thing that they ever did. So I'm excited for them. I'm more excited for Pisces than ever because I really feel with the transits coming up that everything's supporting Neptune in such a positive way. Their weird lives won't be as weird and much more magnetic and much more inspirational than ever. But you got to make sure that you're on the right boat because, Pisces is the king or queen of like, this is so awesome. And then like the mirage ends. Oh, God, it's not. Okay. So